For details.
Now at 10, the future of crime fighting will have a new facility at Pitt State. Plus, the company is ordered to stop applying certain waste to land in the Show Me State. And the Mirza Shriners deck the holidays with a festival of trees.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
A company that had faced criticism for its waste disposal practices in Missouri will have to make some changes. This is KOAM News at 10. I'm Dow Quick. The Denali Company came under scrutiny in connection with its disposal of byproducts from food facilities. Some citizens claim the company over-applied wastewater at a property in McDonald County, creating a health hazard. After an investigation, the Department of Natural Resources says Denali must cease all land application in Missouri until the company gets authorization and must empty its storage bins. Violations could result in a $10,000 per day fine. In a statement this evening, Denali said many farmers and companies rely on Denali's fertilizer and says, quote, "Without the ability for Denali to operate, these Missouri companies will face extremely challenging and costly decisions. We believe this abrupt action by the Missouri DNR puts the state's food industry at risk." The company adds, quote, "Denali has a long track record of responsibly handling the residuals that result from waste from water treatment at food manufacturing facilities, recycling these residuals as valuable fertilizers and protecting clean water in Missouri." Pitt State will partner with the Kansas Bureau of Investigation to create a state-of-the-art regional crime center and laboratory. In making the announcement today, PSU said the facility will serve law enforcement and at the same time provide educational opportunities. The university says it'll expand its education offerings in the criminal justice field with the expected goal of doubling the number of graduates. The new facility is still in the planning and funding stages, but it's targeted for the Pittsburgh Research Park just off of South Rouse Avenue. The estimated cost is $40 million, which would be provided from a mix of state and federal grants. The university says the facility would offer space for the KBI, the Kansas Highway Patrol, the FBI, the Pittsburgh Police Department, the Office of the Kansas Attorney General, the U.S. Marshal Service, and the Pitt State Police Department. It'll have a center for handling evidence, a drug chemistry section, an indoor shooting range, and child victims unit. The university says it'll also have a state-of-the-art training room, classroom space, a crime scene simulation for students, and a secure space for classified or law enforcement sensitive matters. The timeline calls for groundbreaking in January of 2025, completion in July of 2026. Joplin police today arrested 2 people suspected of assaulting and robbing a 17-year-old. Police say early this morning, 2 suspects hit the teen in the head multiple times with a handgun before stealing his phone, wallet, and shoes. They say as the victim was running away, the suspects fired a shot from their vehicle, but no one was hit. Police stopped that vehicle, they say, near 7th Street and Tri-State Road and arrested 2 men. Formal charges are pending. Now let's check in with Chief Meteorologist Doug Heddy for a first look at the weather.
Well, of course, it turned out to be a dreary Thursday for us today. Temperatures, they didn't really go anywhere, and this is due to the clouds and the showers that we've had sticking around, especially picking up this afternoon. 54, that was it. That was our high temperature today, but that is right about where we should be for this time of the year. And we're holding steady. Most of us right around 50. We're not going to drop off much more as we go through the overnight hours. We're going to hold mid to upper 40s to near 50 degrees. And you can see the bands of showers, thunderstorms continuing to roll through. Of course, nothing strong, nothing severe. We're not going to have anything like that as we go through the overnight hours. But we are going to get some pretty good pockets of rain, especially over the next 4 or 5 hours. And then we'll start to see this rain kind of switching over to drizzle late tonight. Temperatures down to about 45 for a low. Of course, we're going to look into the weekend all coming up here in just a bit. Dow?
We'll see you soon. City of Pittsburgh today hosted an open house for residents to learn more about a new proposed floodplain map. The Kansas Department of Agriculture and FEMA are working with the city to gather public input on that project. The changes are important because they impact flood insurance rates for homeowners.
It's
It's a national flood insurance program, and so we operate off of grants from FEMA to do the mapping project. This is a countywide update for Crawford County, and the maps are updated per county. And so we have a number, also on our website, you could find where we have other mapping projects as well. But it is a national program, and so it's funded through grants, and we manage that.
That meeting took place at Fire Station Number 1 on 4th Street. Holidays can be a time for people to look for a secondary form of income or start a new job. According to Southeast Kansas Works, around this time of year, many people might be looking for additional forms of income. However, people are more likely to change jobs completely, and there are still more job openings than job seekers. Apparently, we do not have that comment for you. We can tell you that for employment services, you can contact Kansas Works phone or website. All services are free of charge. The Mirza Shriners of Pittsburgh today got into the Christmas spirit with a festival of trees. People were able to enjoy some cookies and cocoa and enter a raffle for decorated trees and other prizes. All the proceeds go toward the Shriners' goal of helping children in need get medical care.
Are from Arkansas. This is from a doggy daycare where they take care of dogs during the day or even a week at a time. People goes on vacation. They come up and put this tree up. We have trees that has toys under them. We have a tool tree. Right.
You can still enter the raffle. Just stop by the Shriners Center in Pittsburgh between 4 and 7 p.m. tomorrow, or between noon and 2 p.m. on Saturday. At 2 on Saturday, they're going to draw the winners. Maybe it'll be you. Coming up, the latest on a possible extension of a Mideast ceasefire. Plus, the Lady Bulldogs return to the hardwoods tonight in the CJ Classic. John's going to tell us how the host team fared coming up in sports.
What's up? It's the Copenhagen Band. Don't miss stand-up comedian Midwest Ford Dealers.
Last-minute tense negotiations allowed for a 7th day of a temporary ceasefire between Israel and Hamas, and for more families to be reunited. It's not clear if the ceasefire will enter an 8th day in just a few hours. Natalie Brand has the latest.
Hamas released 8 more hostages after a temporary truce with Israel was extended to a 7th day. Those freed include 21-year-old French-Israeli Mia Shem, who attended the October 7th festival before the massacre and kidnapping. 55 days later, she ran into the arms of her family in an emotional reunion. In exchange, Israel released 30 additional Palestinian prisoners.
Our immediate focus is working with our partners to extend the pause so that we can continue to get more hostages out of Gaza and more assistance in.
On his 4th visit to Israel since the terror attack, Secretary of State Antony Blinken told Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu that it supports Israel's right to defend itself against Hamas, but says Israel must work to minimize further casualties when fighting resumes.
But Israel has one of the most sophisticated militaries in the world. It is capable of neutralizing the threat posed by Hamas while minimizing harm to innocent men, women, and children. And it has an obligation to do so.
Posing a new threat to the fragile pause in the war, Israeli police say Palestinian gunmen opened fire on people waiting for buses along a main highway entering Jerusalem. At least several Israelis were killed and other people wounded, including 2 Americans.
The terrorists just came out of their cars and start shooting right in faces of normal people.
Hamas claimed responsibility for the attack, saying it was in retaliation for civilian deaths in Gaza and the West Bank. Natalie Brand, CBS News, Washington.
With no last-minute intervention by the governor, Oklahoma executed Philip Hancock today for a 2001 double murder. The Oklahoma Pardon and Parole Board voted 3-2 this month to recommend clemency. Ultimately, the final decision rested with the state's Republican governor, Kevin Stitt. Hancock's attorneys and advocates argued he killed Robert Jett and James Lynch in self-defense. They alleged the 2 victims were known outlaws who attacked an unarmed Hancock and tried to force him into a cage at Jett's home in Oklahoma City. During a physical altercation, they say Hancock got control of Jett's gun and fatally shot the 2 men. Hancock was pronounced dead at 11:29 this morning. 168 holiday wreaths now honor the victims of the Oklahoma City bombing. That event gave families who lost loved ones the opportunity to connect with one another. Shelby Montgomery reports.
One by one, families and loved ones of those who survived and those who were killed that day are putting up 168 wreaths here at the National Memorial. I spoke to two strangers who have now become friends.
And how'd you get here?
Two strangers.
I'm a survivor.
Two stories.
Yeah, my wife is, and I'm on the board.
Two different perspectives.
Okay. Yeah, she was on the 4th floor. Where were you?
First floor.
First
Social
floor.
Security.
Okay.
Nearly 28 years after the bombing, Pat Hall and Janet Beck swapped memories from a day they will never forget.
My wife got buried a little bit, and a retired Oklahoma City homicide detective was one of her investigators and pulled her out.
Two strangers partnered up.
What a team. Hey. We're done.
One down.
Taking a moment to pay respect to the ones who didn't make it out.
I think people that, the survivor, the family member, we can tell you everything about that morning. We can tell you what it was. I can tell you what it was like when I finally found out my wife was alive. It was just.
But the time between.
It was the time between.
And the time between then and now.
It's pretty good.
Has turned these two into friends.
Janet's doing all the work. I'm a holder.
A shared moment from the past, creating a joyful moment in the present.
This is a real common bond.
Doug's next, and a little bit later, the Lamar Tigers get ready for their next opponent, maybe even a state title. John has a preview in sports.
Guarantee today's funeral prices.
Well, of course, it's been a gloomy day for us today. I've been under the weather. That's why I've been working from home. I've had the good old strep throat. A lot of stuff going around. It's gloomy outside. It's wet outside. And you can definitely see that on our Cornell Arts and Entertainment Complex Tower Cam. So this is off about almost 7th and Joplin Street. So we are looking northeast downtown Joplin. If you are going to be on the roads tonight, be careful because they are going to be wet. Those rain chances staying high as we go through the next several hours. And then we kind of transition over to drizzle late tonight into tomorrow morning. But we've had bands of showers, even a few thunderstorms over the past several hours. And where you see the yellows and the oranges, that is the more moderate or heavier rain. And you can see a few lightning bolts, which are kind of mixed in there. So let's go in southeastern Kansas. Rain picking up Independence, Sedan, up toward Yates Center and Iola. We can go a little bit farther east. It's been pretty heavy along and east of the I-49 corridor through parts of Lawrence County, Dade County. Let's drop south. Thunderstorms just to the east of Joplin, and then another little batch from Mount Vernon, Monette to Cassville. And then look how it's blossoming in northeastern Oklahoma. So all this is heading toward us, bands of showers and thunderstorms. Now, if you look back toward Oklahoma City, you can see that little cluster just north of Oklahoma City. That is the back band. So once that pushes through, then our rain will drop off to just kind of drizzle later on tonight. Let's move forward. Let's go to midnight. Bands of showers and thunderstorms, but the heaviest rain starting to push north of the region late tonight. So here's 3 o'clock in the morning, still light showers, and then by 5:30 or 6, we switch over to drizzle across the region, and we're going to see that drizzle sticking around as we go through the morning hours tomorrow. All right, additional rainfall amounts, heaviest north of I-44, an additional ½ inch. If you live south of I-44, about 1/4 of an inch. But of course, we need the rain. We've needed the rain for about 1.5 years, so we will take what we can get. Temperature is holding steady. We're sitting right around 50, 51 degrees, and we're going to hold there over the next several hours and then eventually drop just a few degrees off into the mid-40s later on tonight. The winds are going to pick up a little bit for us tomorrow. Northwesterly winds at about 10 to 15 behind this storm system, so it's going to be a little bit on the breezy side. Let's focus our attention out toward Las Vegas, LA, Salt Lake City, another little kink in the upper level pattern. That's our next wave, which will start to affect us as we head into the weekend. All right, on your Friday, clouds stick around, periods of drizzle throughout the day. You can actually see a little snow just to our north. Clouds break up briefly tomorrow night and then thicken up again on Saturday. And here we go again. Additional bands of light showers, not as widespread as what we have been seeing today, but we will get additional bands of light showers pushing through as we go into Saturday. Temperatures don't really go anywhere tomorrow, a high of only 49, but back to 58 on Saturday. Showers back in, but if you're going to get outside at all over the weekend, the better of the 2 days is going to be Sunday, high temp of 57, rain back in late next week.
Thanks, Doug, and get well soon, buddy. Still had highlights from a Webb City girls basketball season opener, and the Lamar football head coach previews his team's state championship matchup. John Dales has those stories and more for us. That's coming up next.
It's a beautiful morning, Scotty, and we have an
team. Shop Blue today.
"48 hours from now, high school football season in Missouri will officially be over. It's state championship weekend. Two of our schools are still alive. That's Lamar and Seneca. Now the Tigers play in the Class 2 state championship on Saturday afternoon in Columbia. Today, Lamar dealing with some inclement weather that pushes its regularly scheduled practice at its practice field, instead moved over to Carthage High School's indoor facility. The Tigers have been here before, but aren't taking this moment lightly.
It's a big deal every time you get to do it, and I know that we've kind of been a little bit spoiled and very blessed to get multiple opportunities for that, but it's special each and every time. We don't take this for granted. Every time that we get to have this opportunity, we're trying to make the most of it, and we're trying to soak it all in for these seniors, for these players, and for our community.
This team has had more problems during the season, and we're just trying to improve upon that and try to build as a stronger team here at the end.
Meanwhile, Seneca plays for a state championship as well. That game tomorrow, the Class 3 state championship at 11 a.m. The Indians take their undefeated record on the line to Columbia, where they'll face Central, who's 10-3. Our sports reporter Brock Baldridge will be in Columbia with full coverage, and we'll have the highlights from the game right here on KOAM tomorrow evening. Over to the CJ Classic Girls Basketball Tournament. Tonight is the championship round featuring Bulldog versus Bulldog battle in the title game. First place game in the CJ Classic pits Springdale against Carl Junction, who's without Kylie Scott. We didn't get an explanation from CJ as to why that is, but the Lady Bulldogs sorely missed her. First quarter, Springdale gets a steal and is off to the races. Jakayla Bunch finishes the fast break through the contact, and Springdale would score the first 16 points of the game. CJ trying to mount a comeback. First points of the night for them comes from this bucket from Madeline Huffman. 3 minutes left in the first at that point. Trims the deficit to 14, but Carl Junction just never really got comfortable. Carolinda Hudson hits a baseline jumper in the second quarter, stretches the lead to 27. Right before the half, Bunch gets the steal, goes to coast again and again, gets the bucket and the foul. Long night for Carl Junction. Springdale wins the CJ Classic. Final score 52-14. Webb City girls basketball tonight playing against Bentonville in the Carthage Lady Tigers shootout. First quarter, Kira Long passes to Mia Robbins. She sinks it for three. Webb looking to start fast, but Bentonville starting faster. Cambry Phillips gets the pass. She knocks down that jumper for three. Tigers lead the Cardinals 27-16 at half. Webb not out of this yet though. Addie Burns passes to Mallory Stanley, then Mia Robbins gets it. She sinks a corner three. Cardinal takeaway gives Robbins another three right after. All of a sudden we're tied at 27. Cardinals with the ball again. Kira Long passes to Mallory Stanley. She knocks down a three just before the end of the third. Bentonville, though, won't give in. Annalie Kolka sends in a three to prevent a Cardinal comeback, and Bentonville defeats Webb 55-47 to play El Dorado Springs. Webb City falls and will play Sunrise Christian tomorrow at 4. Over to college basketball, it's the first night of MIAA play for Pitt State men's and women's hoops. Each of them playing at Missouri Western. Starting with the men, they lose 85-75 despite Max Alexander scoring a game-high 31 points. However, Pitt State women's hoops gets the win on the road. Gorillas take it by a final score of 65-56. Sydney Holmes leads all scorers with 17 points. She adds 10 rebounds to that total as well. PSU women's basketball off to a 6-0 start to the year. Missouri Southern begins the conference slate against Northwest Missouri. The Lions men's team falls in a close one, 78-74 the final score. Vincent Sigmund Jr. has a strong outing in defeat for the Lions, scoring 24 points, only missing 4 of his 13 shot attempts. Southern women's hoops comes up short as well, 69-59 final score. Brandy Hudson scores 24 points, but it's not enough to get a win. The Lions and Gorillas swap opponents. Southern plays Missouri Western on Saturday. PSU faces Northwest. Back to high school football, pretty exciting. 2 of our teams with a chance to each bring home a state title. Yeah, a lot of Pitt State fans were hoping their Gorillas would also be playing again this weekend. They certainly were. Of course, that's all over now. Yeah. We'll be right back.
Casino's Hot Seat Cash giveaways are paying cash every single day. Join us Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday from 6 to 9 p.m. Friday.
Hearts, we are proud to salute Leon Sexton, a 4-state hero.
All right, we're going to have the bands of showers and thunderstorms sticking around for us as we go through the overnight hours tonight. Drizzle tomorrow, high temp of only 49, and then on and off light showers back in here again on Saturday. High temp of 58. But Sunday looks pretty good. Partly sunny, a high temp of 57. We dry out a bit early next week. Rain chances right back in late next week.
Thanks, Doug. How about a final sports note?
Yeah, Seneca playing tomorrow in the state championship game. Brock Baldridge is going to be there in Columbia for us with the coverage. And the Indians with the rare chance to finish off a perfect season. Not only would they be state champs, but they'd be undefeated state champs if they can get the win.
And those young athletes will remember this at their 50th high school reunion if that happens.
Sure they will.
Thanks for joining us. Morning show starts at 5 a.m. Let's make it a great tomorrow.